Are you a psychologist looking to register a psychological corporation? And are you considering adding some sort of partner, whether that be your spouse, your husband, wife, your friend, family member? In today's video, I am going to talk to you about who is allowed to hold ownership in a psychological corporation registered in California. Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm the managing attorney here at Mulai Law, where we help entrepreneurs just like you start your businesses without having to deal with the complicated legal forms. Our done-for-you service is backed by over 2,800 plus 5-star Google reviews, and we can help you start your business too. The purpose of these videos are to provide you with as much guidance and clarity in the beginning stages of starting a business. So if you have not already, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe, as well as a bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. Before you do anything related to registering a psychological corporation, it's always recommended that you speak with a professional. And so with that side note out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about who is allowed to hold ownership in a psychological corporation that's registered in the state of California. The psychological corporation is a very popular business entity amongst psychologists. The reason why a psychological corporation is very popular is because it provides specific benefits. Some of those benefits include personal liability protection, which basically means that your business assets are separate from your personal assets. And if everything is done correctly and if the business is operated correctly, your personal assets, such as your car, your personal house, or even your personal bank account, would be safe from any sort of liabilities that the business may incur. The second main reason a psychological is a very popular option is because it builds credibility amongst clients and individuals. A psychologist who owns a corporation is typically viewed by the public as having authority, as being an efficient business person. I mean, just think about it. When you see a corporation, it's different than if an individual has a company operating under their own business name. Having the ending Inc. or corporation or professional corporation, it's innate in us to view that as a very credible and authoritative entity. And an additional benefit is the tax benefits that a psychological corporation has. In regards to tax elections, a psychological corporation is typically taxed as an S-Corp. And of course, if you want to learn a little bit more about that, there are countless videos on our page which you can definitely check out. But the main purpose of today's video is clarifying who's actually allowed to hold ownership in a psychological corporation. We see it all the time. A psychologist wants to be able to work with their spouse, and so they always ask us the question, can my spouse hold ownership in the psychological corporation? Another reason is if an investor wants to be able to hold ownership in a psychological corporation. These are typically the cases that we see. The answer with respect to can that psychologist's spouse or can an investor hold some sort of ownership in a psychological corporation, the answer is maybe. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about who's actually able to hold ownership or shares in a psychological corporation. The basic rule is if a psychologist wants to be able to provide ownership to another individual, the bottom line is the psychologist must hold 51% in the corporation. In other words, they must hold the majority amount of ownership in shares in the corporation. This ensures that you're compliant with Business and Professions Code, that you're compliant with the Psychological Licensing Board, and of course, when starting a business, you're going to want to make sure that you mitigate any sort of risk factors that may arise. And so the common split that we see is a psychologist will hold 51%, while the other individual will hold the remaining 49%. But the question is, who can hold 49%? The answer is not just anyone. The individual who's looking to hold at least 49% of ownership or less in the company must hold a specific professional license. They must either be another psychologist, they must be a physician, they could be a doctor of pediatric medicine. Registered nurses are allowed to hold 49% ownership in a professional psychological corporation. Licensed optometrists, marriage and family therapists, licensed social workers, licensed chiropractors, licensed acupuncturists, licensed midwives, licensed professional clinical workers. Without holding one of these professional licenses, an individual cannot hold ownership or shares in a psychological corporation. And so, as a final note, the main lesson out of all of this is that the psychologist must hold 51% or more in the psychological corporation. An individual who is looking to partner with a psychologist, if they don't hold a psychological license, then in this case, they're going to need to hold 49% or less. If both individuals hold a psychological license, then in that case, they have the freedom to do a 50-50 split, etc. If you happen to enjoy this video, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe, as well as the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. It's time to invest in yourself. It's time to rise. If you would like to continue learning more about LLCs, businesses, online businesses, go ahead and watch one of these videos.